We had an excellent show. Do you remember that opening day, that Saturday morning, how long
Oh, it's
how
crazy.
long the line was? I've never seen it that
I
way.
know. It was like a huge snake wrapping around the entire, lobby of this, convention center.
It was the length of the
Wow,
building
crazy.
twice.
Yeah.
Oh, it was insane. I looked at it, I went out there, I walked it, and I'm like,
That's why
"Oh
it's
my
exciting.
god."
Yeah.
And then I walked into the fl right back to the floor and get ready for the onslaught.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Brace yourself. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of CVtv Podcast. My name is Carlos, your host, and I'm here with my co-host, David Dock, and owner of CoralVue. How are you, Dave?
Well, doing well today, Carlos. How you?
I'm doing well, kind
Good.
of recovering after a long, long week.
I know, huh? Coming back off that, trade show, it's like we don't bounce back as fast as we did before, huh?
God, no, we're just talking about that. It's like it takes me a few days just to
Yeah.
recover. Every morning it gets a little bit easier to get up, but
Yeah.
that Monday, that Tuesday, oh God, that
I
was
know.
tough.
And then
But
there was already, they opened up earlier to VIPs who were on the floor. So we talking about just general admission. That was that line. It
yeah,
was exciting. It was good. It's always a good show. The guys from Worldwide Corals, little shout out to them. They
yes.
do a great job. They put on a great show there in their hometown. So thanks to those guys.
And it's so good to see the hobby that way
Yeah.
after, after the COVID, after what we're experiencing currently right now with tariffs. And, let's not forget the economy. Prices are going up and things
Right.
are going up. And, this hobby is disposable income for a lot of people.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it was great to see how strong the presence was there. And it just gives us there's a light at the end of the tunnel after all.
Yeah. It's encouraging for me. You know, seeing people spending money still in the hobby. I talked to one of my local customers, Knockout Corals, and they said it was the best show they've ever had. So
Mhm.
that's encouraging to hear, and it makes us believe there's still light at the end of the tunnel here in the hobby.
Yeah. So, this show right now, we're just gonna recap what we saw over at Reefapalooza, especially on our booth here, because we had a massive booth.
Yeah.
We haven't had something like that in a long time, and it was kind
Mhm.
of good to see. It was a lot of work.
Yep.
We also had a great crew. I
Yeah.
mean, big shout out to Michael, to Jeremy Reichel, to Jessica, also to Connor, Jeremy Meadows.
Yep.
And then, we also had visitors. We also had Louis from Easy Reefs that
Yeah.
came in from Spain.
Right. Yeah. That was a nice visit. For him to make the trip that far,
Yeah.
to come over.
And he was there at the show showing us the new products,
Mm.
some new and some old ones. And I thought that what he said about the Easy Booster, which to me is kind of like a big thing right now, is dosing phytoplankton.
Yeah.
And I love that he said that they have different species of phytoplankton and it's super concentrated
Yeah.
to the point that you only need 1 milliliter per 130 gallons.
Wow.
And the best thing about it is that you don't have to refrigerate it.
Yeah. It's in a gel,
Hmm.
which is really, I think there's nothing else on the market like that.
And you can put it on a doser, right?
Yeah. Right on the doser and put it into a high flow stream area and let it disperse.
And the other thing I like about it is, obviously it's giving you the amino acids and the fatty acids that you need the corals. But the one thing that he emphasized, which was amazing, was the quality of the ingredients and the fact that there are not that many ingredients. Okay,
But it's
that
a unique place, their phyto, a lot of what they do is for the cosmetic industry,
Mhm.
which I didn't know that. But yeah, that's their specialty is phytoplankton.
Yeah. So I've been using it for years, and I can tell you firsthand experience. I didn't hear it from my cousin's best friends. Kind of like a episode out of Ferris Bueller. But no, I've used it personally myself for years, and I can't tell you how successful it is when I see all the pods running around my tank in the middle of the day.
Wow.
Just
Yeah.
by adding that, just one dose a day, and the corals consume it. I usually do it in the morning because I figured, in the morning the corals open up and they're ready
Mm.
to eat. So
Yeah.
that's what I do. I
What
get
about that food, Carlos? I mean, that's another big thing at the fish foods that obviously the most popular being the mastic.
yes.
And
If you have
anybody who's never used that, it's something that you actually can stick on the glass or
yeah.
to the aquarium.
And I have seen videos and I have seen firsthand copper bands eating that stuff.
Yeah.
It's insane. I don't know how they get them. There's something in the food that triggers that copper band. We all know copper band is incredibly finicky,
Yeah.
but they're eating the mastic.
Yeah. And they
Yeah.
have some other foods as well.
Mhm.
Carlos, some like medicated, not with typical pharmaceutical medication, but herbal type
Yeah,
veggie.
I saw one with beta glucan on it, which which
Mhm.
is which is known to boost your immune system.
Yeah.
I've used it. I used it years ago when I first set up my tank, and I was having problems with ick,
Mhm.
and I started mixing the mastic with the beta glucan, and
Yeah.
then giving it to my fish, and they were it boosts up their immune system.
Mhm.
A lot of weight training people use it a lot. You can't use it all the time, so you got to use it for a couple of weeks, and then you have to stop, so you can't continually use it.
Yeah.
Then it just doesn't work. So moving on, we did some quick videos on the fauna marine.
Yeah.
And I think out of everything in Final Marine, what draws me in is that ICP test along with all the trace elements. I
Yeah.
mean, you and I, again, and I like to say this, you and I have firsthand experience on this. This stuff works.
I'm sending one off right as we speak.
Actually, you know what? I actually sent mine on Friday,
Yeah.
and uh, and it arrived. It
Yeah.
arrived already at the office, and so ICP total. There's two types of ICP. There's the ICP regular reef, and then there's the ICP total. I
Mm.
highly recommend if you're gonna pay for it, might as well just go with the total.
Yeah.
Just go with the total. 90 different elements, and nowadays we make it as easy as possible, Dave. What is it? Starting with at the beginning of the year, not at the beginning, but a couple months ago, we started putting FedEx prepaid shipping label on it.
Yeah. Yep. So, you get the product. You don't have to worry about going to get a to FedEx or something to get a shipping label, or it comes with the return label, the cost of it, and it comes right back to us. And as soon as it gets here, we ship to Germany on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and we have a special arrangement with FedEx on it, that it's pre-cleared for customs. They know what we're doing with this, and you're typically gonna get results once it leaves here within 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, we ship from Slidell, Louisiana to Germany, FedEx next day.
Yep,
We don't skimp on this because we know that people rely on this information to make sure to be successful or to troubleshoot problems.
yep,
And the great thing about it is that it also has an extended line of elements that, when you get that ICP test back, you get a recipe of, what you should do and how many in a span of days.
yeah,
So, certain chemicals, you're not supposed to dump too much into the tank all at once.
mhm,
So Fauna Marine automatically does that for you. As long as you specify your tank volume when you first set up your account, the Fauna Marine does it everything. I mean, it makes it so easy that it takes the guesswork out of it.
I think another thing too is, maybe some people should think about is running, um, do a total ICP total 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and then see what your consumption looks like in those
Mhm.
2 weeks, and if it's calling for that, then divide it by that many days of calling,
4 point. Yeah.
14, and here you can then say, "Okay, I can dose this amount over this course of or daily dose because I know my
Yeah.
consumption.
Yeah, and there are some trace elements that you're gonna I mean, you can use something like A, B multi-elements,
Mhm.
but then your tank is going to consume certain things at a higher rate, and at that point, if you do that the biweekly or every 2 weeks testing, bimonthly, um, then you can actually put those things on a doser,
Yeah.
on separate dosers, and then, like you said, find the consumption, divide it by 14, set that on the doser, and you're never gonna get perfect. I mean, you're always gonna be chasing.
Yeah.
It's kinda like, the epitome of chasing numbers.
Mhm.
In this case, whether it's good or bad depends on you. Depends if that's what you wanna do, then good. If that's not what you wanna do, then that's that, obviously. But y you're trying to get as close as possible as perfection, but you're never gonna get there. So there's always gonna be constant tweaking.
I know for me personally, my biggest, struggle with is iodine. My
Mm.
tank consumes an enormous amount of iodine with the amount of corals that are in it, and then sometimes I overshoot it, and other times it's way too low.
You
So,
also have
trying to find that sweet spot.
you also have a large refugium, and you also have algae turfs. So
Yeah.
you have, organisms that are inherently
Stuck.
consuming a lot of iodine too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all right. So moving on, to IceCap, because IceCap has become that brand that it has a wide array of products. They're good quality,
Mm.
and the price is very reasonable.
Yeah, that's always been just trying to build that brand as a go-to brand, perhaps for stores, and
Mhm.
having a wide selection. We cast a wide net of products and have that in stores, and it's turning into be one of our most popular lines.
And I know, as I don't want to release any secrets, but I've heard that, we're going to be adding, some consumables like
Yeah. Yep.
GFO and other things in it. So it's going to become even more of a one-stop shop
Right.
brand. Yeah. So Jeremy Reichel was there, and a lot of the products that you see on IceCap, the sumps, the skimmers, Reef Octopus, they come from that guy's head
Yep.
inside
So
there.
he's a longtime hobbyist like all of us, but
Yeah.
he's very anal in what he likes.
You
Well,
know what I say?
yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But anyway, if you ever meet him, you'll see him and he's kind of like just sitting there. He looks like he's angry, but he's not angry. He's thinking. He's thinking. He's thinking of the next product.
It's negative.
So, and so one of the products that he came up with was an in-sump UV sterilizer.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, no, come on, man. No, no. But then once he showed me to me, and I was like, makes total sense. And for a beginner who doesn't want to do any plumbing, doesn't have the space, I don't have anything, it's genius.
Yeah.
I,
I mean,
I
that's the biggest thing I think with a UV is somebody's thinking when they would have added after the fact. It's like, oh, where am I going to plumb this thing in? How I got to get a pump it? I need a pump or I need valves to
and how
control
big
the
is the
flow.
pump?
Yep. So all of these intangibles, whereas this thing is super simple and it could just be for spot purposes. Like, okay, maybe I got parasite or some algae. I want to run it for a little while. I don't want to figure all my plumbing to add this. Just drop it in the sump and plug it in. It's got a valve on it. You can adjust the flow through rate.
Mhm.
It's just super simple.
And the pump is already included. So
Yeah.
the size of the pump is optimized for that reactor. I thought it was perfect, and it comes in two versions,
Mhm.
27 and 40 watts.
Yep. There
So
are sizes.
I think it's perfect. The other thing that we also have, which is I think is genius, is those little nano reactors, media reactor, where you can put GFO at the bottom, carbon at the top, or you can put GFO in some sponges so the carbon doesn't move, and you don't no screws. You just kind of twist
Yeah.
and lock. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you see so many of these AIO tanks on the market now, Carlos, and our
What's it?
IceCap line.
What's an AIO? Just for
All
our
in
listeners.
an
Yeah.
all-in-one solution. There's no drilling, no sump system. Everything is in the tank, or rather, chamber behind there where your filtration is. So all in one is AIO.
Yeah, so you put and you can those things fit into that AIO, so you don't have to put it on the side, you don't have to put it in the back
Yeah.
or drill the tank. I think it's perfect. So I love it. And those little reactors come with a pump, and the pump has a little manual clicky thing,
Yep.
and you can click 5 different speeds. So you can slow it down or you can make it faster. I think it's genius.
You combine that with our little AIO skimmers on the IceCap, and now you've got a really robust system that all in one.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, we also had the PARwise Pro there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. PARwise Pro, it helps you measure the par,
Mhm.
but it also helps you measure the spectrum, which is great to see, because not only do you see the par, but actually you see the quality of the light. Is the light heavy on blue? Does the light have the reds and
Mhm.
the greens that the corals actually need? And then with the PARwise, you can actually go down the light like this, and you can see, on a good light, the spectrum will remain the same. On an okay light, what you'll have is you'll as you go there, the spectrum starts going up and down, up and
Mhm.
down, and then you're wondering why this coral right here is doing really well, and the coral right next to it is not doing well.
Yeah.
And it's because this coral right here is right under a fuller spectrum section, but
Mm.
this right here is under a section where there's only blue.
I think this new PARwise Pro even measures in ultraviolet range.
Yes, it does. It goes even lower.
I don't even know if any meter is capable of that,
Yeah,
consumable market. I know there may be some professional meters out there, but they're seriously high dollar stuff.
exactly. You know, uh, it's fully submersible, and it gives you a real time spectrum. So you can
Yep.
connect it to your computer, you connect it to your phone, and then put it in there, and you'll be able to see the spectrum. All right. So moving on to Reef Octopus. One of the great thing about it is that I love is the various pumps, Dave.
Yeah, that's really just the when I talk about, Reef Octopus and product line, it all goes back to the pumps. It's like a motor in a car. Um, you could you see different model cars and, you look under the hood though, and it's all the same engine, in some of these models, and I'm seeing a lot of that in this market. It's a different manufacturer all running the same engine, basically.
Yeah.
And but with this product line, they manufacture the pumps, and then the skimmer is designed around that pump and the specs. Whereas these other guys are taking a pump and then they're modifying it to a needle wheel impeller, but they have to meet the specs, the power factor in those pumps. So it's really defined, the skimmer is defined based off of what they can get out of that pump with modifying a pinwheel impeller to it to keep it within the power factor or the specs of that motor.
Mhm.
So it's a total different approach to anything out there. And the results speak for themselves. When you look at the amount of air these things inject, it's just insane. And you used to see this years ago, Carlos, when people were experimenting with pinwheel impellers. We were modifying them with mesh.
Mhm.
If you remember those days,
Mhm.
we were measuring with airflow or SCFH meters to try and see. So you really don't see that as much anymore. But if anybody would hook up a small air meter, SCFH, and measure, I promise you, you're not going to see anything close to it than a Reef Octopus pump.
Also, if you plug in that Reef Octopus, that various pump to a kilowatt, and
Mhm.
just look at or even on the hydros controller,
Yeah,
and look at the power factor on those things,
it's so efficient.
it's so efficient. It's very close to one,
Yeah.
which is not if you have a pump that was designed as a water pump, and then they retrofitted it with a pinwheel, that
Mhm.
power factor is going to go down substantially.
Substantial. What
Substantially.
does that mean, Carlos? It basically, when the power factor is not close to 1, everything else is excess heat. Where's that heat going? Into your water. Heat out the
Exactly.
tank. So it's a battle. Now you're thinking, well, my tank's running warm. Do I need a chiller or what's going on? Um, Little things to think about that you may not, you know, realize without knowing that these pumps can be basically heat sinks sitting in the water.
The various pumps are really good. And if you are having a hard time finding a pump that your number one choice pump because there's out of stock or something is going on,
Mhm.
please think about the various pumps. Give the various pumps a
Yeah.
try. And I promise you that you'll like it. Again,
Not only
first hand
that.
experience, we use them.
Oh yeah. And not only that, we're here to stand behind them.
Mhm.
I can tell you firsthand, all the warranty and everything comes into here, and the pump failures, it's less than 1%. And of the failures, 95% of those failures are the controller,
Mhm.
and the blocks are just they're just
Solid.
bulletproof. They're solid.
They are solid.
Or
Solid.
I'm saying the controller, or it could be the power supply itself.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
that's just full transparency that we can easily replace a controller,
Yeah.
power supply. So
And also,
is the heart.
and Reef Octopus didn't stop at the various pumps. They have the Octopus flow pumps that you can put inside your tank. And my God, those things are do as I say, not do as I do. I've seen pumps that have been running for a year without being clean, and they are still running. I would not recommend that. I am making it clear right now. Do not do that. But those pumps are they're just great pumps. And the best thing about it, Dave, is that they swivel. You can move
Yeah.
them around. The head,
Yeah.
you can move it around. So you just don't have a head stuck in there.
Stuff straight ahead, it's you can actually get some surface agitation.
And
So
my favorite thing about it is on the outside, the magnet is this thin.
yeah,
I'm
not
not talking about earmuffs like what I have in here right now, like big earmuffs. Like my tank has two earmuffs on each side, and they look like this, and you're like, "What the hell is that?"
right,
No, it's very, very,
very
very,
thin
very,
profile.
very thick
Yeah.
profile.
So,
Yes.
yeah, the pump manufacturing is really their specialty and what they are great at. When I think we've said this before in some of the videos, and I've been there when they decided to make this change into building their own pumps. They imported all the winding machines from Germany.
Mhm.
They're still buying coil, the copper from Germany for the motors. The magnets they source from Japan. The potting compound is 3M. So while it's a China built pump, I can tell you the raw materials, except for the plastic mold itself, everything else is imported. So that's, another reason why I believe it's a superior product.
I think they're ahead of the curve because even though it's a Chinese company, they um, the the person in charge comes from a European background,
Yeah.
was running European companies. So
Mhm.
he brought that European mentality and European
Yes.
quality control to China.
Yep.
And that's why Reef Octopus skimmers and Reef Octopus pumps do have a higher price.
Mhm.
But it's for that. It's because the quality of the products and the quality control that they do is exceptional, and it's not
Yes.
shown by, like you said, where the motor blocks don't fail. They
Yep.
just don't.
Yep.
All right. So moving on, we also had a huge, big display on hydros when we were at the booth.
Yeah.
So, and I wanted to highlight a couple of things that I really liked about him. We have an oldie but goodie,
Mhm.
especially around this time right now. We're in May. We're
Yep.
approaching hurricane season, or we're kind of like into hurricane season already, you know. But the Kraken,
Yeah.
Dave, that to me, it's again, I am biased because, we work for hydros,
Yeah.
but there's nothing out there that works the same way at that capacity.
I like to refer to the Kraken as, if you have an XP8, it plugs in AC devices. The Kraken is the same concept, but for DC powered devices. And add into that the battery backup feature. And I think it kind of gets lost because a lot of people just think, Kraken is just a battery backup solution, but it's really not. Its main purpose is to be a power giver for DC devices, which in turns allows you to get rid of a lot of these power bricks.
Mm,
Um, so that's a big thing. Is these things are just eyesores. They produce a lot of heat. To think that you could get rid of, potentially 8 of these bricks and just run off of a Kraken is pretty amazing. I get a lot of people, I tell them at the show, I was like, "Yeah, oh, let me show you the Kraken," and their response is, "Oh, I don't that's the battery backup thing. I don't ever lose power."
mm.
And I'm almost like, "Wow, you're almost it's like inviting karma,
You just jinxed it,
jinx it." It's,
you
um,
know?
it for just, you have these animals, I feel so you need some responsibility to in case of something. Um, just having the pump running for hours can save your entire tank.
Yes.
I think it's a
Yes.
small price to pay to protect the living animals and your investment in this.
Everybody learns.
Mm,
Some learn the easy way and some learn the hard way.
right.
It's unfortunate.
It takes just one time too, Carlos.
Yeah. And if
I've had one instance. It's a beautiful day. You thinking not a cloud in the sky. We lose power and it's out. I get into this was at our other place. It's like 3 or 4 hours into it. I'm like, I guess I'm gonna bring the generator out and I had a backup generator because the battery I did have at the time was getting low. And come to find out, a car hit a telephone pole like a mile away, which then knocked out all of the power to everybody in our area. So
Yeah.
you just never know, like, things
Mhm.
happen. So good to be prepared.
Yes. All right. So moving on, we also have the Hydros XHO light, you know,
Yeah.
which I really, really enjoy. I've been using that light in my tank, and I can tell you that thing
I
grabs
think we're gonna.
corals.
I think at some point we're gonna have to do a side by side, a show on that, Carlos, and what you've been seeing, and show some maybe before and after, and
Yeah.
like tell people, what's going on, what this thing can do.
Yeah. And it's not different just because it connects to hydros or it's because it's a
Mhm.
hydros light. The difference is on those LEDs. The
Yep.
white, the combination of that cool white and that warm white give you the spectrum
Yep.
of a what back in the day used to be the benchmark for lighting that could grow corals. And that was the old Iwasaki 65K bulb
Yep.
for and it's one of those bulbs that everybody hated the way it looked
Yeah.
because it was yellow, but
Look like somebody
nobody
peed in the tank.
exactly, but nobody argued
Right.
that it didn't work. So the warm white and the cool white give you that the combination of both of those LEDs give you that spectrum, the same spectrum, which is the daylight sun spectrum. And then corals eat that alive. And I promise you, if you grab the XHOs and you turn off all the blues, all the actinics and everything, and you just leave the whites, it's gonna look yellow.
Yeah.
It's gonna look yellow. But then Tulio over at Reef Bright
Mhm.
had, combined everything and worked through it with the board and everything that he added so much blue to that and so much tinic to it that you can't tell that that bulb is yellow. I mean, you can't. It's blue. It's fantastic. And on top of that, he also added a- actinic LEDs, which
Mhm.
goes back to the VHO's days where you had that pinkish a tinnic bulb that really didn't light anything up, but when you turn it on, everything just popped. Everything just popped, and
Mhm.
he added that as well.
Yep.
So this is kind of like this is to me personally is the what LEDs have have wanted to be for all these years, but finally now they're there.
Yeah.
They're there.
Yeah, and we'll have to have him on, Carlos, and give us
Oh
a
yeah.
little detail on this, special LED that's proprietary to them, that
Mhm.
it's such a unique, LED. So he's done a lot of research on it, and we'll have him on and give some really in-depth knowledge of that.
Yeah. So now moving on to the X3S. And that's one of our new products that was actually released at Reefapalooza Orlando
Yep.
2025. That was for sale. It was on
Yeah.
sale that day.
Yep.
So what is the X3S?
Yeah, it's an X3, but instead of having a pH, option, it's salinity or conductivity.
Yeah. I call it the love to the
Yeah.
OGs. Yeah, the OGs that purchase, the people that decided that take a chance on us back in, 5 years ago and decided to buy that Control 4, that Control
Yeah.
X4. And they bought the XPA and they bought everything. And then there was no salinity. And then we came up with the salinity, but it's on
Mhm.
the X10 or the launch. And it's like, I don't want to buy the whole thing. I just
Yeah.
want the salinity. So at that point, we decided that, hey, we have that X3. We just have to change the circuitry. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
A lot of people have written and asked the question is like, can I use the X3S for pH and ORP as well as conductivity slash salinity? And the answer is no. Unfortunately, right, Dave? It's a
Yeah.
different circuitry.
Yep.
So it has to
Totally
be,
different.
yeah, it has to be either salinity, which is the X3S,
Mhm.
or if you want pH and ORP, you're going to have to go with the X3 without the S, sans the S. And that one is going to be for pH and ORP.
Yeah.
It's just hardware wise. It's not a software thing. I know there's a lot of people, there's some people out there that are, conspiracy that we're trying to prevent them from doing that. No, ask any engineer that
Yeah.
knows about this and they'll tell you that it's a different circuitry. It just cannot be done.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Also want to make note that it doesn't come with a salinity conductivity probe. So you'll need that. And if you want it with a power source, many people will just tie this into their collective
Mhm.
and gain power that way. But if you're using it as a standalone, you'll need a power supply.
Yes. I had somebody ask me what probe to use or what
Mhm.
probe you recommend. And we highly recommend uh, uh, a conductivity probe that is K factor 10.
Yeah.
And the K factor indicates the application. So you want, obviously, you're using this for salt water. So you want a probe that is designed to measure salt water. So the K factor is what differentiates. A K factor of 1 would be, fresh water, or what a K factor of 10 would be salt water. And as the K factor goes up, it changes. So make sure that you purchase a K factor 10 probe and that it comes with a BNC connector. It's
Yeah.
a standard connector. You purchase it anywhere. I believe, 99% of the probes out there are sold with a BNC connector unless the company custom made them to prevent you from purchasing other ones.
Yeah.
But most likely 99% is going to be a BNC connector. All right. And moving on to the next product, which was announced, but it wasn't released
Yeah.
yet. And it's the Blenny.
Yep.
Now, talk to me about the Blenny, Dave.
Yeah, it's basically, we're listening to people, our customers, and Perry's like, "Well, I wish you had a four-head doser," and we were like, "Well, you can put 2 minnows," but it becomes just a convenience factor of I can make an all-in-one purchase of having 4 heads, and then we're like, well, and then, people would like an all-in-one option of having maybe to add a ATO to it. So we incorporated some drive ports with that. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be one of these controllers that hits, uh, for maybe a smaller tank, the 40, 50, 60 gallon, they can put this as their go-to controller for it.
I think it's the perfect device for a small tank.
Mhm.
It has the sensors, so you can have your, something like a temperature sensor, water level sensor, leak detector, and then you have another sensor for a wild card, something else that you want to do. You want to do a second temperature sensor or a second water level sensor. It's up to you. In addition to it's got the two drive ports, the 12 volts, and we sell this mini pump, like the mini ATO pump. That in combination with your water sensor, you'll be able to automatically refill the tank with evaporated water.
Yep.
So, evaporated, that's what we call the ATO, automatic top off, and then you have another drive port for something else that you want. You have a small tank and the small tank has 12-volt LEDs. Boom, you're done right there. And on top of that, you have 4 dosing heads. So now if you have a saltwater tank and you get interested and you get into it, you'll figure out that you're gonna have to dose alkalinity, you're gonna have to dose calcium, and you're gonna have to dose magnesium.
Mhm.
So that's the 3 heads there. And then if you want to, like Dave was, constantly running low on iodine, then you grab that pump and you plug that and you grab a bottle of fauna marine iodine, you plug in the amount you want and automatically dose. So this thing is by itself, it's perfect for that small tank. Or you could also make it part of a collective too as well.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think it really fills a void, in the range of controllers we have, and, I think people would like it.
Yeah. So, as always, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please just head on over to coralvue.com, scroll all the way at the bottom, and hit the contact us button. And we'll be able to answer any questions you have. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button. We are on YouTube. If you want to watch the video, we have the new section called YouTube Shorts.
Mhm.
And we are also, this audio is in a podcast format on Spotify. So thank you everybody for listening, watching, and we'll see you next time.